Hello, and welcome back to another video. Or if this is your first video, welcome. Hope you enjoy the video. And if you like it very much, you can subscribe or leave a like or a comment. So, these two boys are very special to me for a very, very special reason, and they have been a part of my life for about 2 years now. Their names are Zan, which is short for Alexander. He is a junior. He is the crown prince of a world that myself and a friend have been co-creating. And his little friend is called Aiden. Now, Zan and Aiden are a tumultuous couple. They aren't exactly allowed to be a couple for a number of reasons. One, Zan being the crown prince, Aiden being a stable hand. There is a class consciousness effort in the mix there. Two, they're both boys, and that's not exactly smiled upon in their kingdom. So a lot of their relationship is in secret. A few people know about it, but those few people have promised not to out them. Now, when it comes to their dynamics in the relationship, or like how they interact with each other, things of that nature, Zan tends to be the more large, soft, loving type of character. He's a very large man. He's trained in sword fighting. He's trained in archery. He's trained in all of the things that the prince of a kingdom that is at peace at the moment, but has had a threat of war for many, many decades, would need to know. Whereas Aiden has lived in pretty much peace his entire life. He's lived inside the castle walls. He's been around horses his entire life. He's been a little bit more fragile. He is the needier of the two. He's a little bit more, how do you say it? A little bit, I don't want to say fragile, but he has more needs when it comes to the relationship. He is very, very loyal and very, very loving, but he has more needs. He is very, very against their relationship being a secret, for one. He wants to be vocal about loving Zan, and wants to basically be allowed to be a couple, where they don't have to see each other in secret and keep things behind closed doors. Zan is more conservative in that way. He is more concerned with their safety than he is with expressing his affections for Aiden. He's afraid that if they were to get caught, Aiden would be taken from him. Now, there is a refreshing light at the end of the tunnel for these two. Given that Zan is the crown prince, when he assumes power with his sister, when their father retires from the kingship, he plans to change that law and make it legal for himself and Zan and a few other members of his family and friends that he knows are in the same situation as him to have legal relationships like that. And he plans to take Aiden as his queen. So, these two have they've got an interesting dynamic between them. Now, when it comes to their actual design, Zan is physically larger. He's the larger of the two. He is more muscular, and it shows in his body tone. Oh, wait. Oh yeah, this was during a live stream, and I got a little bit of downtime between sketching and lining. So I decided to do a little puck. Isn't he adorable? Yeah, I'm planning on doing more art and more in-depth things for the channel here soon. Like the talking videos. I wanna make the channel better. I want to make it better for you guys. But yeah, Zan is physically larger in muscle tone and in stature. He also has more broad features because his mother has stereotypically African features, like African American features, whereas his father has Nordic features. So trying to blend the two was an interesting task. I quite like how his face came out. He looks quite pretty. And now this hand is as perfect a hand as I have ever drawn, and I will never be able to replicate it, and I'm very upset. It's fucking perfect, and I love it. And I'm very happy that it happened. Oh, the pendant that he's wearing. Stereotypically, all of the king's children wear some sort of gold jewelry of some sort that either have embedded emeralds or have the family crest on it. The family crest is a falcon holding wheat in one foot and arrows in the other. You're going to see in a second, once the coloring starts, that green is a very, very broad color that's used in this art piece, because green is an important color for the family. Green and emeralds and green and gold are the kingdom's colors. I never told you what the kingdom's name was. So the kingdom's name is Tamil. Or Tamil. It's Tamil. and they're based off Nordic people or Vikings. But our little kingdom is based in a continent with how many other? 1, 2, 3, 4, 5, 6, 7, 8, 9 other countries. They each have their own culture. They each have their own kings / emperors / warlords. They each have their own history and interconnectivity, and we're getting to the point where we can interconnect the stories with almost all of them, all of the continents, here in a bit. It's been 2 years in the making, but it's a massive world building overtaking, and I'm very proud of it, and I know that my friend is very proud of it, because we put a lot of work into it. They're a very, very, very good writer. I have to give it to them. A lot of the world building was theirs. I helped, but a lot of it was theirs. Now, when it comes to some of the design choices for the outfits here, like the fact that Aiden has pockets where Xander doesn't. Aiden he was a stable hand at the beginning of this, but he has been, Zan managed to get him into the castle as a prince's right hand. So that they could be together in the castle and not have to worry, and so that they could be closer. So Aiden is with him for a lot of the day and all through the night, so he gets to help Zan through the castle wherever he needs. So he gets big pockets to carry around Zan's stuff. So Zan doesn't need pockets. He's got Aiden to carry all his shit. Whereas Aiden doesn't have the fur boots that Zan does, because Aiden mostly runs around the castle in between the palace in Tamil's center and the city of Trin nearby. He doesn't need the boots because he's not going on a horse, or he's not trekking over vast amounts of land or anything. He's not in armor. So he gets basically leather leggings, dyed leather leggings. Yeah, here when it comes to coloring, you're gonna see a lot of my coloring choices are in the greens and matching colors across them. Like, I gave Aiden a farmer's tan because he is a very, very white boy, but he has worked outside his entire life. So I figured he'd be pretty brown. Of course, compared to his lover, he's not very dark. But that is not a problem at all. Now this green color carries over into Aiden's outfit, because we figured that Aiden's outfit is likely dyed linen, so that any of the servants in the palace that needed to have an outfit that they could replace easily would have linen outfits, which are easier to replace, they're easier to dye, they're easier to keep clean, and they're less hot when it comes to work. So it works out all in all better than like cotton or leather. Now these leather wraps on his boots I really enjoyed. Because I really like how they looked when they came out. Yeah, when it came to Zan's outfit, I went with this deep forest green because I did a drawing about 2 years ago of his mother, and she was wearing the same deep forest green. And I figured it was probably going to be the family color. His mother's name is Sarah, by the way. But yeah, just keeping on with all this drapery. And giving him a longer sleeved robe than Aiden was also a key idea. Because he doesn't need like fitted wrists, he doesn't need a shorter robe. He can have a longer robe and be fine when he is just around the castle or under a suit of armor. Because as a crown prince, he does go around the castle and guard with the other guards. That is a duty of his. Yeah, I was really indecisive about the chair. So I wasn't sure whether or not I wanted to go with such a deep red with all the red that was already in the picture. Yeah, their eyes were quite fun to do. I recently learned how to do the reflections. They're actually really easy to do. You wouldn't think it, but they really are. And it gives a nice effect of depth. Yeah, name your layers, everybody. That way you're not stumbling through everything. So I decided a central lighting scheme so that I could light them from the center, like center above, like they're in front of a large window or a chandelier. So I wanted to try something new. And I think it worked out really well. Just edging out all the pieces of Aiden's face with the eraser tool and with the airbrush. It's just a slow, incremental progression. Just going over and over and over and over it until it looks right. And making sure that all of the darker parts had light on the other end, because that's something that a lot of people forget when they do shadows, is shadows are not flat, they're encapsulated in light. So like if you have a broad light coming from one side like you do on his face, there's going to be a lot of light on that side, shadow in the middle, and then a fainter light on the other side. Especially if they're in a place that is already lit from multiple places, they're going to have like bounce light. Like here on his arm, there's a lot of light, and then a shadow, and then more light. It gives depth. And the shadows are usually darkest right next to the brightest light, unlike harsh shadows. So like if you saw, I'm going to zoom out again in a second, or just do the same thing on Zan's face. So like if you see the triangle under his eyebrow, it's darkest right next to the bright light. Like right under his eyebrow. And it defines the line there. Or where his temple is. It defines the shape there. And his hair was considerably easier to do because I'd already broken up the shapes. I need to learn how to shade hair better. But that is a goal that I can work on. Now this soft shading is one of my favorite things to do. Because I like to just pick out the shapes and embolden them. Like with this cloth here. You can just pick out shapes and embolden where they need to be lighter and show how deep they are. And it's all very, very... It's satisfying to watch. Now I could have put a different, like another layer of shading on this. I probably should have. But this was a gift and I was running out of time. Because I've got a hand condition. So I can only do so much in a day before my hands stop working. And I was too close to done to keep doing that. Oh yeah, whenever you shade in a particular color, highlighting in a color that is close to the opposite on the color wheel gives you a nice balance. So like I shaded with a dark purple blue, and I highlighted with a yellow. And they're done. Aren't they looking pretty? As always, the best place for updates is right here or my Twitter at Pookie15_art. If you are new here and like what you've seen and want to see more, go ahead and leave me a like, hit the subscribe button and the bell next to it. If you didn't and want me to know what I can do to be better, why don't you tell me in the comments? I read them all. And last but not least, let's thank my patrons, those friends of mine that keep the blood flowing in my veins. Cuernos, Ravenfire, and Ashley Coe. See you in the next video.